Nancy, I can't unlock the door. Could you open it, please?
Knocking on the window, she rose to approach the window. I shouted out to Nancy, my mother-in-law, knocking on the window, and she rose to approach the window. For a moment, I breathed a sigh of relief, but then she yanked the curtain shut. Before the drapes were fully drawn, the last image I saw was her smug grin. At that moment, I understood everything. The reason I couldn't unlock the door was because Nancy had taken it upon herself to change the locks. I finally lost my cool. I was boiling over with fury at Nancy, who had pushed me to this breaking point. I dug out my smartphone from my backpack and dialed a particular number. My name is Nova. I live with my husband, Christopher, and our daughter, Emma. Christopher and I are the same age, and he works a job in tech that requires him to travel regularly every month. But when he's home, he's hands-on with the household chores, taking care of Emma. Our daughter Emma is 3 years old. She's often left alone due to my work. She's a vivacious and joyful child, always with a twinkle in her eyes and a radiant smile on her face. Her thin hair is feathery and light brown. It's mind-boggling how such a tiny body can contain so much energy. She's always brimming with vitality, curious about everything, and leaps with excitement when she spots flowers or bugs in the park. Even though her father isn't home much, Emma is extremely fond of Christopher. With the cute, awkward pronunciation of the typical toddler, Emma would yell at her dad and scamper towards him. He is absolutely besotted with her and seizes every chance he gets to snuggle her soft cheeks.
Oh, Emma, you're adorable today.
This is his pet phrase. During his business trips, he never misses a day to video call us after work.
When we're done, send me another video of Emma.
Every video chat with him concludes with this sentence from him. And while I give a wary smile, I definitely send in videos of Emma. The house we live in is a detached home with ample space. It comes with a yard, which is ideal for Emma, who's intrigued by insects and flowers. She would run around the house, climb up and down the stairs, and catch bugs in the garden, living without a care in the world. Just when we were leading this blissful life, tragedy struck. Christopher's father passed away. He'd been hospitalized for some time. When he was first admitted, the doctor warned us that he didn't have much time left, so we should brace ourselves. We thought we were ready, but when the moment came, it still hit us hard. He was a genuinely good-hearted man. When Christopher and I first visited his parents to announce our engagement, he went out of his way to make us feel at ease by initiating conversations. On the drive home after the visit, Christopher said to me, "Dad was really talkative today."
Dad was really talkative today. He's usually not much of a chatterbox.
He was always thoughtful towards me, and I was fond of my kind-hearted father-in-law. When I involuntarily started to tear up, I hastily wiped my eyes and Emma came racing towards me.
Mommy, what's wrong?
She craned her neck to look at my face.
Does it hurt?
I'm fine. I'll stop crying soon.
With hands as delicate as autumn leaves, Emma gently patted my head and beamed at me. Pain, go away.
I couldn't help but embrace her petite frame. A little while after my father-in-law had passed, Christopher approached me, a look of concern etched on his face.
Mom has been texting me a lot recently.
Text?
What kind? As I glanced at his phone, I noticed a few texts from Nancy popping up every few hours. The texts said things like, "It's tough living on my own, or I feel so alone and it feels like my time to meet my maker is drawing close."
His death really hit her hard. I feel bad.
Yeah.
Is it okay with Nancy? How about having her move in with us?
Christopher's face lit up in astonishment at my suggestion. But wouldn't it be difficult living all together?
I'm away a lot because of work. Sure, there's a lot of chatter about the challenges of cohabiting, but the fact is, we won't really know unless we give it a shot, right? And isn't it our main concern about her well-being?
Seeing my confident smile, he let out a sigh of relief.
Thank you. If you're okay with it, I'll broach the idea of moving in with my mom.
Later on, Christopher had pitched the cohabitation idea to Nancy, who agreed without any hesitation. She packed up her apartment and shifted to our house.
Welcome home, Nancy.
As I greeted her at the doorstep, she remarked, "This house is pretty old."
That's the problem with buying secondhand homes. Nova, you need to do a better job at managing your finances so you'll be able to buy a new home.
Despite her sudden curt comment, I managed to keep a straight face.
It might be old, but we love it because it's roomy.
She scoffed at my words and stepped inside.
Grandma.
Emma ran towards her.
Okay, Grandma's exhausted from the move.
Grandma's just a bit worn out.
Why don't we just go play catch in the backyard?
Okay.
Emma quickly fetched the ball and darted out to the yard. Watching Emma frolic, I tried to assure myself that Nancy's behavior was just a phase, that she was merely feeling low due to the loss of her late husband. As I suspected, Christopher's work trips continued. Even when he wasn't traveling, he was mostly out, coming home late. By default, the responsibility of taking care of Nancy fell on my shoulders.
Nancy, dinner's ready.
But I don't feel like eating now. Can you heat it up for me later?
When I reheated it as she requested, Nancy griped.
Heating it ruined its texture. Why did you even bother heating it?
She seemed to take pleasure in every opportunity to criticize me.
I'm really sorry, Nova. I'm always away on work trips.
Christopher apologized one morning as he was about to set off on another trip.
Work is important. Did I pack your travel bag properly?
Yes. Thanks as always. I'm leaving now.
Take care. Have a safe trip.
Bye-bye, Daddy.
That night, with Christopher out of town, I called Nancy for dinner as usual.
Nancy, dinner's ready?
But she didn't respond, as if she didn't hear me. I pushed open her door and called out louder. She glanced at me, got up wordlessly, and left the room. I felt a pang of frustration, but took a deep breath and composed myself. Whenever Christopher returns from his business trips, her demeanor instantly brightens.
I'm sorry, Mom, for always being away on business trips.
No. It's good that you, the family's primary earner, are working hard.
While Nancy consistently wears a stern face around me, she breaks into a smile with her son.
Really? He's hardly ever home because he's always on business trips, and that's all because Nova hasn't made the home comfortable.
While Christopher's cleaning up in the bathroom, she mumbles just loud enough for me to hear. I wanted to respond to her insinuations, but I held my tongue. She may be on edge and emotionally unstable, but she's really lost her husband. Even after that, she and I interact only when Christopher is home. But when he's not around, she doesn't acknowledge anything I say. She's definitely ignoring me on purpose.
One day, Christopher comes home looking defeated.
Nova, I'll be gone on a long business trip. How long is long?
It's 3 months. I won't see my baby girl for 3 months. Don't want to cry.
Don't cry, Daddy.
He tightly embraces Emma.
It will be lonely, but hang in there.
As I encouraged him, Christopher managed to smile through a heavy sigh.
Okay, take care of Emma.
And so Christopher's 3-month business trip commences. Nancy has been ignoring me from the first day, but I always talk to her as usual.
Nancy, dinner will be ready soon. I'll leave the laundry here. I've laid out the bed sheets.
Even though I was ignored, I maintained my composure. But she seemed annoyed and shot increasingly displeased looks.
Emma, come over here.
Nancy beckons Emma and announces loud enough for us all to hear. Do you know why your dad doesn't come home?
It's because of work, right?
To Emma, who tilts her head in confusion.
It's because your mom is scary. And it seems your dad doesn't find you very cute either. That's why he doesn't want to come home.
Mommy.
Daddy and Mommy both love you very much, Emma. Don't worry. While comforting Emma, I couldn't believe that Nancy would say such cruel things to such a little girl.
But her meanness continues.
Emma, throw this dish in the trash.
During lunch, Nancy hands Emma a plate of side dishes that I made for her and tells her to discard it.
Why? You haven't eaten yet, Grandma?
I haven't taken a bite yet, but it's okay. Throw them away, because the side dishes your mom made don't suit Grandma's taste.
Freezes, the untouched plate of side dishes in her hand and a troubled look on her face.
I quickly take the plate from Emma.
And my mommy will handle this plate.
Okay, I'm sorry.
She says with a downcast look on her confused face.
You don't need to apologize, Emma. Everything's okay, all right?
When I look at Nancy, she's smirking maliciously. I felt a wave of anger in the pit of my stomach. I can handle her being mean to me, but I can't forgive her for dragging my daughter into this. After Emma went to bed, I stood next to Nancy, who was engrossed in the TV in the living room, and turned off the TV with the remote control.
She quickly glared at me in surprise.
Nancy, I can tolerate your hostility towards me, but not when it involves Emma. Enough with your cruelty.
I believed I communicated this with absolute gravity, yet Nancy silently withdrew to her room again without uttering a word. The next day, I bundled Emma into the car and set off for a run to the grocery store.
Nancy, I'm heading to the supermarket to do some shopping.
I knew she wouldn't react, but I still informed her before leaving the house.
What are you gonna buy?
Well, we'll probably get some meat and some vegetables.
To introduce her to numbers, I displayed the groceries and their prices as I added them up in the shopping basket.
So how much is the total cost?
I don't know.
I placed all the groceries in the basket and paid at the register. Then I secured Emma back in the car and we drove home.
Hold on, Emma. I'm getting the keys out now.
I extracted the key from my backpack pocket and tried inserting it into the lock, but the key only inserted halfway.
Huh?
I suspected that I might have confused it with another key, so I double-checked, but it was indeed the house key. There was no mistaking the house I was returning to. This is strange.
What's happening?
I considered asking Nancy, who was supposed to be at home, to unlock the door from the inside. I walked around the garden and peered into the living room through the window. Through the window, I spotted Nancy engrossed in the TV program.
Could you open it, please?
I shouted out to her, knocking on the window, and she rose to approach the window. For a moment, I breathed a sigh of relief, but then she promptly yanked the curtain shut. Before the drapes were fully drawn, the last image I saw of her was a smug grin. At that moment, I understood everything. The reason I couldn't unlock the door was likely because Nancy had taken it upon herself to change the locks. I finally lost my cool. I was in a boiling rage at her, who seemed determined to push me over the edge. I dug out my smartphone from my backpack and dialed a specific number. Left stranded by Nancy, Emma and I had no option but to go stay at a hotel. It was tough to settle Emma down and sleep in an unfamiliar setting, but I managed, and I too collapsed on the bed, drained. The following morning, I checked my phone for the time. I noticed several missed calls from Nancy. I hadn't heard them as my phone was on silent. While I was browsing the call history, another call from Nancy appeared on my smartphone.
Hello, yes?
When I picked up the call, she began to blabber frantically.
Nova, you finally answered the phone.
Some stranger just showed up at the house.
What's happening? They claim to be from a real estate agency. They want me to vacate?
Oh, is that so?
You orchestrated this, didn't you?
I won't be fooled that easily. She continued in a rant in a high-strung voice. I began to speak slowly and composedly.
Yes, I did contact a real estate agency yesterday,
I knew it was you.
but there was no trickery involved. I was simply asserting my legitimate claim.
What?
Actually, that house was a legacy for my parents. I appreciated its ample space, but given the age and considering the location of the kindergarten my daughter would attend, I had contemplated selling it for some time.
This house was second-hand, purchased under Christopher's name, wasn't it?
No, that's not accurate. It was a legacy from my parents, and it's in my name. It seems you misconstrued it as a second-hand purchase, but out of respect I didn't rectify it.
Nancy is momentarily dumbstruck.
How could you do this?
I'm gonna tell Christopher about this.
I've already made Christopher privy to the situation.
And I've also enlightened him about all the instances you've been unpleasant to me and Emma.
So what?
He's siding with me, isn't he?
No, he trusted my words, and he was incensed with you, Nancy.
That's preposterous.
If you believe it was false, why don't you ring Christopher and verify it yourself?
Of course he's on my side.
While still on the call with me, Nancy dials Christopher's number from the landline.
Christopher, is what Nova told me true? Is what Nova told you true? No, it's not like that. Hold on.
The call between Christopher and Nancy appears to conclude swiftly. So Nancy, what did he say?
He intends to sever ties with me. He said he won't tolerate anyone treating you and Emma poorly.
She reveals visibly shaken. Perceiving her predicament, Nancy suddenly begins to speak coaxingly.
Nova, don't kick me out. I know you're a nice person. You wouldn't resort to such measures, would you?
I address her decisively.
I cannot coexist with someone who adversely affects my dear daughter. You can live on your own from now on.
But...
Merely hearing Nancy's downcast voice was sufficient enough to envision her dejected state. Subsequently, we ended our living arrangement with Nancy. She appears to be leading a solitary life in an apartment, slowly depleting in her husband's modest inheritance. Emma has started attending her desired kindergarten. She seems to be delightfully happy each day.
Guess what? Today at kindergarten, we played with a massive jump rope. How massive was the jump rope? It was as gigantic as a dinosaur. That's how massive it was.
That's truly enormous.
Observing the radiance of my daughter's eyes as she narrates her day at kindergarten, I squint contentedly.